Okay, for the rice I have half a cup of rice. You're going to add 1 cup of water. And then you're going to bring it to a boil. So when you're doing rice, in this case we're using a converted rice, so it's a 2-to-1 ratio, which means if I use 1 cup of rice, 2 cups of liquid. So we're going to get that turned on and bring it to a boil. Okay, once it comes to a boil, lower it down to a very low simmer. Remember, don't let it boil too long, otherwise the water evaporates. Put a lid on it, just like this, and then bake it in the oven for 350, cook it in the oven for 350, or leave it on the stove for 15 minutes, turn it off, and then let it sit for an additional 5 minutes on the stove. Okay, after 19 minutes, this is what the rice will look like. And you'll fluff it with a fork. Okay, for the egg roll, you'll need sesame seed oil, shredded cabbage, julienne carrots, mushrooms. We'll need 1.5 teaspoons of cornstarch and 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. Then you'll need your egg roll wrappers. We're going to use a spring roll wrapper. You could use a variety of vegetables. Your recipe is going to call for celery, but I'm going to use some green bell peppers, red onions in addition to it. So you want to go ahead and start with your carrots. Again, we're doing a julienne cut, roughly 1/8 inch by 2 inches in length. So what I like to do is I'll just kind of squirt them off. I'll still use these. So a nice julienne cut. Stack them as high as you want, as high as you can. Basically like that. Get your cabbage, shred as thin as you can get it. And you have your nice shredded cabbage. Then your bell pepper, this has already been cleaned. Take off the end and take off the ribs. And then 1/8 inch cut. Onion, you'll use less than 1/4. Take off the core, take off the outer leaf, and we'll go 3 here. Flatten it, make sure you get all this off. Just like that. You got a nice good cut there. Then you got your mushrooms. Take out the stems. Mushrooms give it a nice meaty flavor, so this is what would be your meat flavor or your meat texture like you would get in pork for this. So you're going to do a mince on this, so you just give it a nice thin cut. And then just come back again. If you want to leave them large like this, you can. The recipe calls for chopped. So go back the other way. This will be what you're looking for. So this is what it'll look like, okay, for your spring roll. Finally, you're going to mix your cornstarch and your soy sauce together. This is going to be your binder. Mix it up really good. This is your slurry. And then your sesame seed oil is what you're going to saute your vegetables with. And that'll be our next step. Okay, in a saute pan, you're going to add your sesame seed oil and your vegetables. Get them all in there. Cabbage, carrots, very important those are cut thin. Get those all incorporated. Again, you'll season it with salt and pepper to taste. So all you're really doing is just sweating them out, getting that oil mixed in. Just like that. Get it with a little salt. Black pepper, preferably fresh. Don't forget to taste it. Okay, once it gets to this point, now you're going to add your cornstarch slurry, your soy sauce and your cornstarch. Give it a quick mix. And this will thicken it up, bind it together. Then we'll just place it back into your pan and let it cool in the refrigeration. Lay it out flat. And let it cool. Okay, after it's cooled, you're going to wrap it in a wonton wrapper. I have a spring roll wrapper, but this basically the same way. With the spring roll, you have to kind of wet it down a little bit. Okay, and we'll fold it up just like that. Make sure you tuck in the ends. Okay, place them on your plate. Okay, get that. Place it in right around just inside the center area. Then you're going to roll it up like a tortilla, the ends, just like that. Hold it, tuck it in. Make sure you tuck in the sides, and then the seam side is down. And finally, you have your egg roll. Okay, again, I'm using a spring roll. And if you do wrap it correctly, then you can do it in the deep fryer. So we're going to do a shallow fry. Just like this. Let it go for about 30 seconds or so at 350 degrees. Once you get that nice good brown color, then you can turn it around. And that's about where you want it. Just a nice golden brown color. For the chicken stir fry, I have a 8-ounce breast of chicken, half of a bell pepper, a quarter of an onion, broccoli for florets, mushrooms, and in a we also have a cornstarch slurry. I have a quarter cup of brown sugar. I also have in a container soy sauce, red wine vinegar, and pineapple juice. Okay, for the vegetables, We'll start with the carrots. Good idea just to start your vegetables first. Otherwise, get a separate cutting board to do your chicken. But if you're going to do it on one cutting board, get your veggies ready, and then you can do the chicken on the same cutting board. So we'll cut this on a bias, just like this. Okay, nice and thin, not too thick because they are dense. Okay, a bias cut there. Set it aside. You can do a julienne on your onion. So you can pull that together, take off the leaves. Just go like this. Cut off the ends, make sure you don't have any leftovers. And just like that. Break them apart. You got your onions. Okay. Your bell pepper, you want to take the ribs off of them. This has already been cleaned. Take off the seeds. Give it a little hit. Okay, take off the ends. Okay, then again, take off the ribs. Just make sure you get these taken off. Okay, so you can do a bâtonnet or you can do a julienne. You want to probably go a little bit larger though. So we'll do a bâtonnet, so we'll go about this big. Just like that. And we'll go with this way on the other one. Okay, so you have these. You can still use these, okay, so we'll set these aside. You got all your veggies going. And again, cut these off. Cut around these as much as you can. Here you can just kind of cut at an angle. Okay. And set it aside. Then broccoli, again, take off the ends. You could also use the stems too, so you can also use this part of it. And if you do, which you should, first you want to take out your florets, bite size, not too large. Okay, this will be the last thing that's going to go into your saute pan or your wok. Okay, here, cut them thin, just cut off the very ends here. These might be a little bit on the firm side, but then you can actually cut these really small. Okay, just like the carrots. These are perfectly edible to eat. Alright, you got all your veggie, and here's finally the mushroom. If you choose to use mushroom, slice them any way you'd like. Just like that. There you go. And then finally, you're going to get your chicken. So again, you can use the same cutting board. Okay, so cut them at an angle. Make sure that if you need to use your knife again on anything else, like if you're doing your stir fry, make sure you wash it or have somebody use another knife for the veggies and then this knife for the chicken. So I'm just kind of doing this. If you want to do strips, you can do strips, something like this if you want to do that. It's your call on those. I kind of like to do a little bias cut on these. Okay. Then we'll get rid of this. And make sure we wipe it all down. Okay, make sure you get your pan hot. Season your chicken with a little salt and black pepper. That's the first thing that's going in. So hit it with a little salt and pepper. You get about 2 tablespoons of oil. Set it right in. Okay. Place your chicken into the pan. Make sure you get all that salt, pepper in there. Okay, it should be nice and hot. You're going to use a wok, okay, on this. You want to get the chicken in first. Okay. So the thinner you cut them, the faster they're going to cook. So try to avoid any large chunks. You want kind of slivers. Make sure you get it all into the pan. Get a nice good color on that. Let it go for about maybe a minute, minute and a half on one side, then turn it around on the other side. So you're looking for something like that. Okay. There you go. Then you're going to add your vegetables. Okay. So you add your mustard, your onions, your bell pepper. Do not add your broccoli to the very end. You get those all in. Now you start to mix. Get this all mixed in. Make sure you get those vegetables, spread it out a little bit. Just like that. Okay, then you're going to start to add all your other ingredients. Okay, your pineapple juice, soy sauce, red wine vinegar, your ginger, about a teaspoon. Okay, your brown sugar. Okay. Now then finally you're going to add your slurry. Before you do that though, you add your broccoli to this, okay? Just let that get going. Okay, now you can add your broccoli. So you can get that nice, beautiful, vibrant color. Let it cook for a little bit. Let it get nice and vibrant green, and then finally, again, you want to cook it at least halfway, and then finally you're going to add your cornstarch and water slurry, okay? So you want to mix that up really good. Make sure you mix it up good. It's going to thicken it up. It's going to give you a nice glaze, okay? So let that go for a second. Get that broccoli going in there, and then you want to taste and adjust. You might have to adjust with a little salt, pepper. And then of course you want to make sure your chicken is completely cooked. So as long as you cut it thin, it shouldn't take no more than a minute and a half to finish. Okay. Now when this starts to come to a boil, then you can start to add your slurry. Okay, your slurry won't thicken it until it comes to at least a simmer or a boil. So we're going to add the rest of this in, just like that, and that'll thicken it up. Okay, just like that. And let it go for about 3 minutes after it gets thickened, because that you want to get the starch and cook it all out. There you go, lower it down. This is where you'll adjust, add salt, pepper. This is where you'll taste. And it's just right. Okay, and that's the finished product. We'll go ahead and plate it up. For the plate presentation, we will, if you can, you could do different things. If you want to do a rice mold, you can put it in a ramekin, set it in like this. Okay. And then you add your chicken stir fry to the plate. Just like this. Make it look pretty. Make sure you get these veggies on the top. Just like that. You can put your egg roll on your rice, whichever you want to do. Okay, so that'll give you an example. And if you want to top it with some green onion, you can bring some in and top it with some green onion. And there's your stir fry.